hell is empty, and all the devils are here.
Hello and welcome to the Devil's Library. Today we shall be discussing The Wasp Factory by Iain Banks. And with me, I have Lygia.
Hail Satan.
I have Pike.
Hail Hayton.
And I have Larage.
Hail confused Satan.
And I'm Lithos. Hail Satan. The Wasp Factory is the first published novel by award-winning Scottish actor Iain Banks. He'd previously unsuccessfully attempted to get his science fiction novels published, and this was published in 1984. He would go on to publish many more novels as Iain Banks, with his science fiction works credited as Iain M. Banks. I will give a trigger warning for this episode, right? The book features graphic descriptions of animal cruelty as well as infanticide. And there will be plot spoilers as per usual. You've been warned. The direction this novel will take is pretty much revealed from the start, as we learn in the first chapter that the family at the centre of it, the Caldheims, descendants of hitherto wealthy Scottish landowning ancestry, are far from normal. The main protagonist, Frank, a near 17-year-old, has protected the small island where the family's house sits outside the fictional Scottish town of Portneil with sacrifice poles. Sporting the severed heads of local wildlife, he is dispatched with his arsenal of self-constructed weaponry. The entire story is a first-person narrative from his point of view and consists in large part of him describing the acts of atrocity he's perpetrated on the local fauna, as well as on his own relatives, and details his particularly egotistical, misogynistic, and borderline psychopathic worldview. Other protagonists...
Did you say borderline?
Well, okay, psychopathic. Other protagonists include Angus, his father, a grouchy ex-hippie who was also a biochemist and whose relationship with his son seems pretty impersonal and cold. Frank's older half-brother, Eric, who's confined to a psychiatric hospital that he escapes from at the start of the novel, and Blythe, Paul, and Esmeralda, who are all murdered by Frank at various points in his youth. He also has one friend, Jamie, who has dwarfism and whose main function seems to be his drinking buddy. We follow the story of Frank, anxiously waiting for his extremely and violently disturbed brother, that makes two of them, to make his way from his escape to the family home, leaving a trail of burnt and mutilated dogs in his wake, with the book building up to the unexpected revelation of a carefully kept family secret. Namely that Frank's genital mutilation in early childhood at the hands of the family pet, Old Saul, is not all it was made out to be. And if that sounds like a lot of fucked up shit, it is. And there's more. This is a book that slaps you in the face and leaves you wondering, what the fuck did I just read? So, long intro over. Had anyone else read it before? I read it a few decades ago. I know Larage has read it. What about you, Pike and Lygia?
Was my first.
Yep, first read.
Okay.
I was recommended this book many years ago when I was maybe, 18 or something at a music festival by a drunk girl. And I've been carrying that recommendation around with me ever since. And finally I got to read it.
Yeah. I knew about this book as well, and it was on my to-be-read list. So I'm happy. I'm done.
You've done it. You've
done
it. You got through it. You got through
I
it.
had to power through this.
It is. I mean, it is kind of like, and part of the stuff that makes it even more upsetting, I've found, is the bleak humour. I mean, it's not written sort of completely, because it's written from Frank's point of view, it's not completely impersonal. He's kind of like puts jokes in, and it's like, oh shit. But yeah, he is a psychopath.
Very Scottish humour. I love Scottish humor, by the way, so that helped. That helped a lot. But coming from Frank, I was chilling. Fucking hell.
This is about I think this is either the third or the fourth time I've read it. And
Really?
every time I finish it, I think, why the fuck did I reread that? I mean,
No.
it's so well written. But,
yes.
And he, you know, it's such just the fact of the book how it exists at all is kind of like, he's a really good author. He's a really good writer. But the book itself is just awful. And I don't mean it's a badly written book. I mean, it's just kind of like so upsetting in so many ways on so many levels.
Yeah. He achieved his goal, I think.
Yeah, it's a great book, but I'm not sure it's a very enjoyable one. Do you know what I mean?
I will never read this again. I'm sorry. It was so hard for me. I don't know, guys. Do you think this is a horror book?
No.
By definition, no.
Is
No, I
torture
wouldn't call it
porn
that.
horror? I mean, it is classed as such sometimes.
I'm not sure this. I mean, when I think of torture porn, I think of like movies by Eli Roth and people like that. So like Hostel and movies like that, which to be honest, just bore the pants off me. They're just, I don't see what they're for. But, and I don't think this book descends to that level of kind of like nihilistic, you know, cruelty and sort of murder and pain just for the sake of it. There is a definite story being told and there are points being made.
That is true.
But
yes.
This is why I continued. You know, guys, like I texted the group after like 40 pages in the reading. And I was like, you know what, guys, I'm reaching my limits. Even though I'm a corrupted fucking bitch. This book was a challenge for me because of the animal cruelty. I just really, I had to put it down. I had to go and play with the cats. Had to go for a walk, and I was still feeling sick, and I couldn't eat. This never happened.
I hope your games with the cats were, you know,
I was not trying
inspired
to.
by the book.
No.
Didn't
I
involve
can't.
petrol cannons.
Of course not, because that's exactly like the animals. They don't understand. They don't know. They can't escape. They don't expect anything bad. And the innocence in animals is just something else. So I had to really push. But I understood that there is a reason why I'm reading those words. And I will get to why this is in this book. So I'm really happy I did it. I feel so powerful now. I can read anything.
it is one of the major criticisms of the book that, you know, they're kind of like, there's a kind of, as far as I can tell, there's two schools of thought about the animal cruelty. The first school of thought is it's completely unnecessary and over the top.
Yeah.
And the other school of thought is that animal cruelty is a hallmark of sociopathic behavior. I mean, it's literally on the FBI checklist for serial killers. So to not include that would be disingenuous to the character of Frank.
Yes.
I agree with the latter because
Me too.
He was funny and very logical, and there were a lot of qualities that made Frank a very, in some ways, very likable character. And if animal cruelty wasn't there, or it wasn't as gruesome and intense, it would have tilted too much into, you know, into the wrong direction.
The animal cruelty by itself is bad enough, but I mean, and this again, none of this is a criticism of Banks as a writer at all. In fact, it's mainly, maybe it's a compliment. It's the matter-of-fact way that Frank describes not only what he does to the animals, but also to his human victims as well.
Yeah.
I mean, to him, the way he talks about it, there's always like kind of like this vein of black comedy kind of like running through it. And it's quite, you know, it's just like things he's talking about the way we would talk about our day, our average day sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. That was too much.
Yeah, he's outlining the sort of like, these are trad sort of signs of later becoming a psychopathic serial killer.
Well, he was
torture
already.
animals as kids, and then you have an overinflated view of your own self tick. You're convinced you're right about everything and you're smarter than everyone else, tick. You've always, and someone else is always to blame for what you've done, tick. All those things throughout the novel. It's like, he's never wrong about stuff.
Yeah. And he also created this whole mythology.
But that logic that underpins all his actions, I think, is where the writing is so brilliant. Because if it was just a character who goes like, yeah, I hate animals and I'm gonna make them suffer, it would feel a lot more one-dimensional.
Yeah, because that's not how a sociopath thinks. I mean, they are literally stand-ins. They're kind of like, to use a phrase, they're meat puppets to people like Frank. They don't really exist even. They're just there to be kind of like used and abused.
Yeah.
There's nothing evil about it apart from the fact that he is a sociopath, psychopath, whatever. He doesn't hate the rabbits. He doesn't, well, maybe he does a little bit. And in fact, at one point in the novel, he actually keeps rabbits as pets.
Wasn't that his younger brother's pets, though, I believe?
Oh, were they?
Yeah, I think they were.
I think,
yeah. I think they were Paul's pets, and Paul was the younger brother he murdered. And then there's that scene where the way he murders him is he finds an unexploded bomb and he gets his little brother to play games to bash it with a wooden plank until it explodes, basically. And leading up to that, he's kind of describing quite calmly, he knows he's going to do this to his brother. He's going to murder him in some way. That, he's very cute and isn't he nice little boy? And he was quite happy and it was great spending time with him. And then he goes and kills him. It's kind of that way of describing just the cold, whatever's going on in his head. It's like, it's fine, this little walk's fine, but in the end he's going to get killed and that'll be fine as well.
It's just something he did that day.
Yeah.
I thought what was a bit odd is he oscillates, right? So on the one hand, he'll say something, well, that was just a phase. Or, I had to kill Esmeralda for statistical importance. But then there are other moments where he describes it as, I'm not quoting here, I don't remember exactly but like as heinous crimes and as this terrible things that he's done, which it's a big contrast. I don't know how you read it. I sort of assumed he was using the words, thinking in the words of other people at those points.
I think he wanted to be important.
Yeah, he was kind of like bigging himself up. Heinous crimes. God, how cool am I?
Yeah.
I've committed these heinous crimes. I'm tougher than anyone else. And that's a constant thread running throughout. That everyone else is so much dumber than he is, in his mind.
Nobody lived on that island. So what the fuck? He was the only one. Of course he was. He was the biggest of the biggest killers and psychopaths because there was nobody else. Fuck, I wanted to kill him. See the violence? Yeah. See the violence? Now I want to kill him.
See the violence in the
system.
What happened?
Just
are you glitching?
Monty Python line.
We both
Sorry,
Python at the same time.
No,
God, that's blokes of a certain age. That is. Yeah, he is rabidly misogynistic. He has the lowest possible opinion of women, which is ironic considering the ending. The ultimate irony.
That part I was not expecting. I have to say.
Obviously you reread a book, you already know the twist. You already know what's going to happen. I keep trying to remember the first time I read it. Did it surprise me? And I think it did. But it became obvious to me at some point that there was a twist coming, but I didn't foresee that particular twist.
No, this one I did not expect that. Yeah.
I really didn't like the ending. I thought the last chapter was confusing. It's almost like the author starts speaking, and here I will explain this whole thing. And the twist also, I don't know, it felt a bit amateurish. I don't know. Maybe because it's the first novel, but it's sort of, I don't know. It didn't feel very believable or natural or like, oh, it makes sense, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that, to be honest. Rereading it now, later on, it doesn't feel very organic. It does feel like, look, here's the point of the novel, you know? And it's kind of like, all right, thanks. You don't need to actually fucking hammer it into our heads. You could have.
So
there could have been a different way.
You think the point was what?
Of the whole novel?
Yeah.
I think the point of the whole novel was a kind of like an exploration of misogyny more than anything else. You know, how one person's misogyny, and I'm talking about Angus here, not Frank, created above all else another misogynistic person, who that is Frank. And it was kind of like, sort of Angus, the dad, he sort of assumes this hubristic role as a kind of like, as a creator. He decides another person's fate entirely, not just the twist ending, but also not registering Frank, not giving them the chance to do things like have a national insurance number or have a job, or all these things are sort of like taken away from Frank. So Angus has kind of like created this creature of pure misogyny based on his own misogyny, because he wanted to do away with all women from his life. That's how I saw it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I have two theories for what it's about. And
okay, go on.
The first one is rich people are deranged. But that would be simplistic. The second one is, I think the book was about what is, and you know, that's not taking away, it was about misogyny as well, and you know, it can be about a lot of things. But
I don't think it was just one thing. No.
Yeah, but to me, the main theme was that it was asking what is natural or unnatural. I think that's why you had those beautiful descriptions of nature that, you know, were interspersed with the violence. And you know, the killer logic and the Eric's thing with the worms and all those psychopathic musings about power. Anyway, that's my take.
Yeah, I thought there's also kind of it sort of got me thinking about the whole nature versus nurture thing. I.e., what makes a psychopath? Right? Was he born a psychopath, or did what happened to him when the dog mutilated him when he was 5 years old, and then his father's subsequent sort of feeding him hormones, again without his knowledge, a 5-year-old, you know, feeding him all the male hormones, and then his father's kind of attitude and behavior, did that turn him into a psychopath? You know, it's like, how much of this was just innate, how much of this was created by his environment?
Well, I have a different theory.
Mm-hmm.
I went through so many theories in my sleepless nights that the last one I ended up with this morning is me. Well, I went through all the stuff, like I was questioning if the brother Eric even existed. The phone calls didn't sound right to me. The whole phone situation, how it went, how nobody else ever heard the phone ringing, and the discussion was just confusing, and it went the way where the identity got confused. Even he was almost talking to himself. So I don't know if they really happened, for example. Like, was the brother probably existed because many people mentioned him, but I'm thinking he was using this Eric brother as like a shadow's self, a mirror, to not deal with things that he actually didn't want to deal with in himself. And like there were moments where it just didn't make sense. For example, the whole coming back to the dog attack created the whole identity for Frank. This is the theory I came up with. Like, I think the book, I think the theories might be endless, but my theory for now is that I'm thinking this is like a metaphor or a story of how we as humans are able to take a moment and build the whole like justifiable situation for violence. Even though if we go back and we learn that that moment was probably false or never existed, we still go through the violence and we continue building on that. So, and for the Eric and his, like how he was burning dogs. I can't even say this. That's so bad. Why dogs? You know, like he wasn't doing, if he was doing that, we don't know. This is all coming from Frank, so I don't know. But if he was killing dogs only, the dog plays a like really important role in this story. So I'm thinking, did that mean that Eric also believed that this horrible attack damaged his brother so much that he became this monster, and it was too much for him because he was described as a very sensitive, emotionally somewhere else than his brother Frank, person who wanted to be a doctor, wanted to be helping people. So maybe this, when he saw through the horrible facade of his brother, it was too much for him and he just lost his sanity. And the dogs were like this impulse, almost a symbol of like the decay of the family. Because I don't think it made sense how he was studying to be a doctor. He was a student, he was an adult. And now he was in this situation that was also horrifying, with that child he was taking care for, and the maggots eating the brain of this child, which I don't think it happened, or if it happened, that could not have triggered the whole situation, or like for the rest of his life. He would not have lost his sanity in this one moment. It is just not plausible for me. So I think that was also a picture that was created in Frank's head because he was obsessed with decay and corpses and maggots. If you can like remember, maggots were everywhere. And this situation with this child is so weird. I don't think a student of medicine would just like completely break. I don't think so.
And so the fact that it happened to a child as well.
Yeah. So I'm thinking he actually meant that this meant for Eric seeing the rotten brain of his brother and who he actually was. And that's why he didn't want to come back. I don't think he ever escaped any hospital. I don't think so. I don't know. These are just like I am so confused. But I really think this is about a criticism of the perceived masculinity also, and how funny it actually is at the end.
Yeah.
So, and the violence is all based on that belief, like, I am a fucking man, I am the fucking alpha. So look at me. I will show you. I will show everybody.
He does try to be the manliest man that ever manned.
Right? Right?
I mean, I think he definitely escaped. I mean, although it would actually make less sense if he hadn't escaped, because the police officer comes over. It's not just that no one else hears the phone calls. His father is there. And he tries to get there, and he actually stands at the bottom of the stairs and listens to the phone call.
I think the police officer was looking for him. This is why his father didn't want him home. I think everybody knew he was the one who was killing everything. That's what I thought. Like, they were looking for him, or they're like, I don't know.
It is true that there's no third-party confirmation of Eric's.
It's all just his... I mean, you can have theories, as many theories as you want, I think. I think he wrote it that way. That could just be an artifact of
the fact that it's the first person, and the first person happens to be Frank.
Oh, yeah.
But...
who is a psychopath, so what can we say? Yeah.
I like that, though. I like that theory.
He does exaggerate his prowess at certain things, like, you know, he's the best with weapons and he's so accurate with his slingshot. And I certainly thought some of that is like, you're just bigging yourself up here. You're not actually that brilliant, you know. The Wasp Factory itself is probably a lot shonkier in construction than he made it sound.
The thing that got me about all that was his constant, these are my experiments. This is my method for deducing the answer. You fucking leave everything up to fate, mate. I mean, what are you? Are you a scientist or are you a mystic? What are you?
But he was an experiment to his father, so I think this was his way of coping with that. He knew something was wrong, I think, and the father was awful. He was lying to him about, he was trying to teach him, but also he was giving him false information just for funsies.
Do we think that Angus was worse than Frank in some respects?
Well, he's a shit father, that's for sure. Okay, so he got lumped with Frank by Frank's mother, who was, by all accounts, also a terrible person. But he all he seemed to do was like occasionally ask him about, how many stairs are there in the house, or what's the length of a table leg, and then criticize him for doing stuff wrong, and then just sit there and make sort of grunting noises while he was reading the newspaper. So he was, your traditional old style boomer parent, for want.
I think all of that was compensated by nutritious vegetarian meals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Frank does have a terrible fucking diet, freezer burgers and oven chips, and that's what all he seems to live on. So that might also contribute to his mental health or ill health.
I must also say I really enjoyed that part of, I'm not sure how important that was, the description of many pages where he was drunk. I have never read better description of how it feels to be fucked up like that.
Yeah.
And it went for so many pages because it lasts. It lasts for days if you do it. So I really enjoyed how he went into that. Like, oh God, brilliant. Yeah, I am with you. I know where you are.
The bit where he sees the street sign and he thinks, this is what I said to my friends in quite clear English. And then it goes on for a whole paragraph where he describes the history of the street sign. And then his friends go, did he say something?
Did you say something? Oh, whatever. Okay. That was good.
My favorite bit, which I found funniest, was where he compares puking to pregnancy.
Oh God! Yes.
Did he?
Yes.
I don't remember that
because he's talking about throwing up so much that his muscles went into spasm.
Oh yes, it was there. Oh, poor guy.
It's funny because it feels kind of accurate in the way he describes it. Involuntary, alive, like a baby kicking, and you think, well, actually, retching is those two things, But it also really shows it's really in character, really shows how alien he finds women.
Oh yeah, and when he said like he was holding this friend on his shoulders and the girl was talking to him and her breasts were in his face and he's like, I almost fucking puked. I was like, okay, go. It was so funny. But it was explained at the end, like, I guess so bad. I mean, the misogyny was actually so over the top. It was sometimes funny because I could see like, okay, he's overdoing it, so everybody can see this. Ugh.
I think that was part of his character. Yeah, everything was kind of like over the top.
Yeah,
and you get the feeling the person he's trying to reassure most of all is himself.
Yes,
that he's this kind of like manly man.
Yeah,
he hunts, he shoots, he fishes. He does shoot, he's got a catapult. Fishes and,
air rifle as well, yeah. So you talked about the funniest bits. What were the most upsetting parts of the book for each of you?
I've got one that's maybe a bit left field.
Okay.
The portrayal of Eric's mental illness was shit, to be honest, and was not accurate for how psychosis and schizophrenia is at all. Which maybe lends weight to Lygea's hypothesis about it being a figment of Frank's imagination. Yeah.
I do believe it was like 90% of what we saw of Eric was Frank's fucked up mind.
it did upset me a bit for the first time.
Mm.
And I just became acutely aware of how this kind of like stereotype of psychosis means danger and violence. It's kind of, it's quite misleading. It didn't make me hate the book, and it didn't make me think Banks is a bad writer. But, you know, and it is his first book, and he was trying to make a particular point, and I get that. But I just felt he could have maybe put a little more work into researching that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Or
True.
there is a possibility that Eric did actually escape and was trying to get back, but that it wasn't dangerous, and that it was actually Frank who'd been setting fire to dogs.
That too.
That Eric possibly was, he was feeding the kids maggots and force feeding them maggots and worms and stuff. That would make kind of sort of in a way explain, partly kind of like would go back to what set it off, him seeing that happen to that child. But the burning dogs thing definitely didn't fit in with it. Why is he burning dogs? What's he got against dogs? Because the only one who's been savaged by a dog is Frank.
I assumed it was protectiveness,
that's
because
what I thought
Eric
as
was
well.
the older brother.
Yeah.
And Eric didn't, wasn't there to save Frank when it happened.
Yeah. And then he saw what his brother was becoming, so maybe he thought, it's all because of what happened to him, which never happened.
I think I just felt that out of the three main characters in the book, Eric was the least developed and the most caricature of the three.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he was definitely just there, kind of.
He was a plot device.
It's a device.
Yeah, it's a plot device.
It's a
That's
tool.
what I was trying to think of, yes. Yeah, he definitely made little sense to me. Why is he doing this? Why has he suddenly turned from utterly brilliant after one experience into completely irredeemably violent and uncontrollable?
Yeah.
I assumed that the way the book would end was when his father called him. I thought there would be some kind of scene of mob violence when he said they got, they caught him.
The ending was kind of weird.
Leading up to the ending, I found it really good. Like the last few chapters before the ending, I was just like reading them like that, page after page, going, fucking hell, this is building up, this is great. And then there's a reveal. But the last chapter, I would agree with you, Pike, is almost like there's a bit too much of the thing that happens with a series, a season that they can't think of the ending for. And they have to end it, and they just come up with this Deus Ex Machina
action, big scene of explosion and burning sheep, and the shed, and this little boy, 17-year-old, Jesus, like puts off the fire, like everything stops, and then his brother is peacefully sleeping in his lap. I'm like, what are we doing? What happened? I don't know.
There is an element to that last chapter where you think, is fucking Hercule Poirot going to come out in a minute and explain everything?
Yes. He did go on to write much better novels, certainly in my opinion.
I don't think Wasp Factory is a bad book or a badly written book, but I think it's the first book by a very good writer.
Yeah.
Well, he had written several science fiction novels beforehand, and he said that himself. He tried for years to get them published. And he was kind of at the stage where he went, no one obviously wants to buy science fiction, so I'll try something more mainstream. And that was his idea of more mainstream.
And he still,
a book about a teenage psychopath.
Still created this little island, which could be like a planet somewhere in space. And this is just like this isolated. He did?
Yeah, he did. And I remember hearing an interview with him on the radio, and he described it in exactly those terms. He said, okay, they're not buying sci-fi, but I'm going to... The island could be an alien planet, and Frank is an alien. And,
exactly.
He definitely had those sci-fi tropes in mind.
I think he actually mentions it in the foreword to the book as well, in the edition we've got, certainly. Yeah, there's a foreword by him. And just the idea that, right, okay, I'm just going to try mainstream non-science fiction. And it's like, that dude, what he just wrote there is not fucking mainstream.
No, please. Don't call it a mainstream book.
You know, when this book came out, the absolute horror reaction from some people, it was like, if some people hadn't overreacted to the extent they did, it would have just become a minor sort of cult novel and form. But it was like the absolute rejection by some critics of like, this is horrendous stuff, that kind of catapulted him to fame and meant that he could then give up the day job and write full time and get his science fiction novels published. Because some of the ones he tried beforehand, I think one he tried beforehand ended up being sort of rewritten and edited as Use of Weapons, sci-fi novel.
Yeah, I think it was Use of Weapons and Player of Games that he'd written a draft of, or a novel, and then reworked later on.
So what did you find most upsetting?
Two things, really. I did find the most horrific part was the description of him, his brother Eric, in the hospital looking under the child's skull cap, because it's like, it was kind of leading up to it and you're going, right, okay, something's obviously not right here. And then when he describes it and the reaction of everyone else, I thought, and the image of that actually happening, you know, medically it wouldn't happen because maggots feed on dead flesh and there was no dead flesh. The kid just had a thin skull with a skull cap over it. So, but, you know, it's a horrific image. And surprisingly, also, I found the description of the Wasp Factory itself really upsetting, even though I fucking hate wasps. And I
could sense that from you.
I did actually, as a kid when I got a chemistry set, spend one summer torturing a couple of them with a Bunsen, well, not the Bunsen burner, the little candle. So I shouldn't find it upsetting, but I did, maybe because it reminded me of what a little shit I was when I was younger.
That sounds horrible.
The number for the RSPCA should read. This has been interesting.
Wasps don't deserve an RSPCA. They're shits. They're the shits of the animal world. They can fuck off with their arse daggers.
Arse daggers.
Since we're in confession mode, I went camping with my class at school, and there was a group of boys that gave people a biscuit for every mosquito caught alive so they could torture it. And I sold them a couple. They would wrap them in paper and set them on fire and, try things like that.
Again, mosquitoes. That's justified. I'll go, that's justified.
I mean, I would kill a mosquito, but not torture. It's just like prolonging the suffering is never... I mean, that is reserved for people. Come on.
Yeah, no, I felt bad, but I really wanted the biscuits.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's,
that's fair.
I think it's fair for biscuits, it's, I mean, I wouldn't torture them these days. I'll just splatter wasp when I see it. Likewise, mosquitoes.
I'm gonna make a tiny note for Pike to keep everybody safe around you. Bring biscuits.
Yeah, always have a good supply of biscuits on hand.
Okay.
Would you risk it for a biscuit? It kind of gives a different sense to that phrase. Pike would, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no. Okay, that was in primary school. I'm older and wiser now. Like Frank said, that was just a phase I was going through.
Yes.
Be nothing less than 2 biscuits now.
Yeah.
Referring to the murder of the 3 children. That was just a phase I was going through.
Yeah, we didn't discuss that at all. We were just like, oh, those poor animals. What about the children?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awful.
The first one, what was his name? Blythe. Whether he intended to kill him or not was a different matter. He was pissed off because Blythe had set fire to his brother's pet rabbit.
Yeah.
And Blythe had a fake leg. Because he'd lost it in an accident and he'd stuck an adder in the leg. Now, adders are not known to be lethal snakes.
Oh.
However, they can kill young children if the bite's severe enough. And of course, if it's stuck in his leg and he's put his leg on, he's going to be bitten several times by the snake. And it could actually arguably have killed him. So whether that was intended as murder or just happened to be because he was just looking to punish him. But the next two were increasingly, Paul was kind of happenstance that he thought, oh, there's a bomb. Right, they'll blow my brother up. But Esmeralda was planned well in advance. He built a special kite for her. He sorted it all out. So each one was increasingly more elaborate and more thought through. You know, first one, maybe an accident that he died. Second one, definitely not an accident, but would he have killed him if he hadn't come upon the bomb? And then the third one, yes.
That was
absolutely
horrifying.
Premeditated and totally and utterly carefully planned in advance. Yeah, horrifying.
That little girl, I couldn't. She left, like, she had flowers in her little hand, and like, how? And the little brother, the way he spoke, like that baby English, like, what is breakfast? I'm like, no, please, I can't continue. This is not gonna get. Babies, no. Sorry, guys, sorry. Those were the moments where I was like, I needed to get braver and braver to go through those pages, and I'm like, why am I doing this? I can't do this. Horrible.
Did you research the adders or did you just happen to know?
I didn't know that. I was surprised. I knew that adders exist on these shores and that their bites can be very painful, but that they're not lethal. I thought, well, does that make any sense? So I did look it up, and it said, yes, in very rare cases, it can be. In the case of very young children or, very frail elderly people who haven't got a healthy heart or whatever, yes. But it's extremely rare in the same way that, people do get killed by bee stings.
One bit that I found puzzling was when Angus comes out of his study and his pupils are dilated and there's a strange smell. Did you have an explanation for that?
Weed.
Drugs. Yeah.
He's an old hippie.
Weed, does it really dilate pupils?
Yes.
Doesn't it just make you look droopy?
No, it dilates pupils.
But it does dilate pupils, yeah.
Okay, I discarded that one, but yeah, that then sounds most likely.
I mean, it could be any number of chemicals he'd taken, obviously, being a biochemist. And when Frank eventually gets into his study, there's all kinds of medications and stuff around there. So he could have been taking anything.
I thought LSD was most likely, but I couldn't figure out, what would
there wouldn't be a strange smell though.
Precisely.
But I think he did find LSD in the lab because he talked about, he found a little plastic baggie with some bits of paper in. It's like, that was acid.
Yeah.
I've
seen people discussing this book online, and there's been accusations of transphobia.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's valid?
That?
No.
No. He's not trans.
I was trying to see the point, and I think they mean, like, because what happened to Frank, that his father was trying to change her hormones artificially or chemically, whatever. This is what made him a beast and a monster. But I don't think this was in the book. I think it's nitpicking and far-fetched theory for me. I did not read it like that.
I don't think you can read it like that, because in the end, when he goes into that little rant that I disliked so much, he sort of says, well, kind of, I mean, it's very hard to understand, but it sort of implies that the murders are a coping mechanism or something. So it's really talking about trauma, not gender identity as such. Yeah,
but the trauma might be coming from the forced,
But that would be forced anything. It doesn't have to be...
Yes, but I think people are seeing that and thinking this is transphobic.
Yeah.
I don't see it
I don't see it, no.
Mm-mm.
No, I don't see it either, but I do understand why people might be concerned about it, and this for the same reasons that I was concerned about the portrayal of Eric's psychosis.
Yes.
I think it's in lesser skilled hands, it might easily have been seen as saying trans men are psychotics or dangerous. But I think the difference here is that, as you know, I don't want to sort of like talk for a community here, but as I understand it, trans people are aware from a very early age that they are not in the right body, and they then might go on to make the conscious decision to transition in some way, socially or medically or however. But Frank never has that autonomy and consent is taken from him from day one.
Yes.
In fact, it is, you know, you're kind of like going, well, no, he's actually not in any way trans. He has been spiked with hormones by his father against his will to try and kind of remove any aspect of femininity, which is not transitioning. It wasn't. I don't really see how it can be seen as being transphobic. It's about a fucked up family, and you know, the father treating his son like some kind of fucking biological experiment. For his own purpose. He didn't care about his son. He just didn't want his son to be in any way feminine.
You mean his daughter?
His daughter. Sorry, yes.
Yeah.
He didn't want his daughter to be. Sorry. Getting used to calling Frank
Francis.
His son. Yes.
Yeah.
Frank is Francis.
Yeah.
To entertain for a moment that idea, I will say that if this book had been written by another famous Scottish author, I would say, oh yeah, that's totally transphobic. And also she's fucked in the head.
Would have been shit as well.
I love that.
And shit. That is true.
I think it's something we needed to discuss, because I have seen people from the trans community consider it to be transphobic.
Yeah, so have I, yeah.
But yeah, I think the issue that we've all kind of like mentioned, you know, that idea of consent, autonomy, and the fact that this was all forced on Frank is takes away.
Since he was a toddler. So what this
in a way that can be transphobic, right? If you assume that being trans does not involve the psychological layer, is just about the physical or hormonal change in the body, and you just strip away that whole thing that happens in the person's head and go like, well, that's the same.
Yeah,
it's
probably.
Actually part of the reason I chose this, because I could have chosen any of Iain Banks' other novels, many of which are better, but it was because I've read it so long ago when it wasn't seen as an issue, and having heard that the sort of accusations of transphobia, I thought this would be interesting to read again and get other people's point of view on it and see if we see any transphobia in it. And I didn't. And it's good to hear that neither did any of you. But
you know, none of us are trans. So.
No, exactly.
So it is an interesting point,
I can see how people might think it is. I personally don't think it is. I think the issue of consent and stuff just kind of like takes away from that.
Well, if it is transphobic, it is even more misogynistic. So I'm sorry, like, that was obvious, right? I mean, it was criticizing it in a way, but it was tough to read.
I mean, I think Iain Banks made it clear that the father's misogynistic, the son is, and they're both absolute fucking dickheads.
Yes. I don't
or
mean
the
that
daughter, I should
Banks,
say, as it turns out.
Yeah.
Turns out.
Yeah,
I mean, one of the themes of the book could be seen as the construction of gender as an idea, and how a misogynistic man can construct not just a male figure, but the worst kind of male figure, an actual misogynistic person themselves.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Frank's religion? His spirituality?
Oh, blimey,
What did you think of that?
Well, you tell us first.
Well, there were bits that I really liked. It was a very good dimension to the book. I thought I really enjoyed it. And I really liked Frank's ritual, the way, it included confessions and talking about what he fears, what he hates, what he dreams about. He basically just recited what he recited as what he called his catechism was just pure honesty. The person taking everything from inside themselves, and that's most secret, and just laying it out, which I thought was very cool.
That was a bit when he goes to the Wasp Factory, wasn't it? Where he lays in. He's got to go through the whole thing because that's his
fortune-telling device.
But who's he laying all this information out to?
Well,
himself.
The Wasp Factory.
Is that really confession?
I don't think it was confession. I thought it was his liturgy.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to feel important, and he was imagining himself being this superhuman priest who understands the meanings of what he is doing. The crimes were becoming something more than just crimes and murders. It was like a universe was connecting to him, or he was connecting to a bigger thing, because he was the one, he understood.
That's how I saw it as well.
Yeah,
I saw it as just him talking
but...
about. Sorry, go on, Ajay. Sorry.
No, that's it.
I just saw it as an extension of him blathering about his own egotistical. I didn't see it as. I can understand why people might see it as a kind of like liturgy or a kind of like confession or a kind of like. But to me, it was just some sad prick talking about how they like to kill people and how they like to hurt things.
Yes, because after confession, you are supposed to, or you are expecting by yourself that you after confession you are going to change certain things that made you confess. That was not present.
But liturgy, because I said liturgy, is just a religious ceremony, right?
Yes, yeah.
You didn't think that's what it was?
No.
Yeah,
only for himself.
I thought he kind of had quite detailed ideas about what needed to be done, in what way, what needed to be laid out exactly in what way, down to measuring afterwards where all the things went on the altar. It was liturgical. It wasn't just like him doing something for the sake of egotism. I saw it as him having a specific ritual he had to go through, and it had to be very accurate.
He had that order in everything he was doing. He was very logically present, and everything he was doing, he knew what he was doing. So this was just another part of how his mind worked, and that was scary to me because it could create beautiful rituals, for example. But at the same point, with the same cold blood, he would go and kill somebody or a little creature with the same slow, logical mindset, like, oh, I'm gonna pretend this gun is a tail or is moving in the wind, and I'm gonna wait. I wanted to freaking, the bunnies, the rabbits? I couldn't, he is pretending that this is moving in the wind. I'm gonna slap your face. What are you doing? That's a psychopathic thinking. He was playing with the bunny, with the, I'm like, no.
This whole idea about things being placed in a certain position and at the same distance, those are things that serial killers do.
Yeah, slow, logic.
Some of them, arrange. They do what's called posing the body after the victim's dead. So
Coming
they
back.
might put their shoes neatly together and put them back to a particular side of the body. They put, if the person's got a handbag, they might neatly arrange that. They rearrange their clothes.
Yeah,
Some of them
how he
even
was
apply lipstick.
putting the clothes on. That was the
I
whole
didn't see
paragraph.
it as particularly
Wouldn't that
liturgical.
But from the serial killer's point of view, that's liturgical as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it was
I don't
all...
see it as liturgical. I just see it as some sad prick trying to order the universe to their own, trying to exert some form of control over their own patheticness, really.
It could be both.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe. I mean, I'm sure Frank and I'm sure every serial killer thinks that what they do is vitally important and how they do it. But that doesn't make it important. That just makes them think it is.
I did wonder at one point in the book, and that's when Frank does he describes in detail his morning routine when he gets ready, how he washes and everything. And at that point, I thought, I wonder if Bret Easton Ellis read this book before he wrote American Psycho and went, I'll do that, but I'll just go quite a bit further, because there's that bit in American Psycho where he describes in excruciatingly boring detail his morning ablutions, over a whole chapter. And this was kind of like the same kind of thing. He spends a couple of pages telling you exactly what he does, what soap he uses, how he's got to get himself ready.
I struggled with American Psycho for that very reason.
Mm-hmm.
It was so fucking dull. I mean, I don't want to read a multi-page dissertation on Huey Lewis in the News. I just don't. I understand it's part of character development, but fucking hell.
I mean, I think it's the one case I can think of where the movie's actually way better than the book.
Do we want to do some pitchforks?
Yes, let's do pitchforks. Lithos, it was your choice. What would you give it?
I'll give it 9 because I enjoyed reading it. It's very well written. I won't give it 10 because he's written way better books. It's definitely worth checking out. They're not all as gruesome as this.
Lajaya?
Okay, this is not going anywhere, so I can say whatever. So, for the brutal images I now own, I will give it -55. I don't want these images in my head ever. Okay, but for the theories that I had to go through, I'm giving it an 8. It made me really think and rethink and think and rethink, and it was fun to sit and have so many theories. It doesn't happen that often that is so confusing. Like, usually there is like clear line and some little branches, but this was like I went through 5 theories that were completely opposite. So for that, great job. 8.
Okay, so that's adding those together, that's -47 then.
Oh my god, no.
Well, if you take the average, it's -23.5 or something like that, isn't it?
Good.
Pike?
I will give it an 8 because although I didn't like the ending and I thought sometimes it over-egged the pudding a little bit, where the father goes with a shotgun but then strangles the dog instead. I thought, you just did it. You're like, I'll do something gruesome, but didn't really. But I thought the character of Frank was really, really good.
Okay. I'll give it a 7.5. And I'm knocking off half a mark there for Eric's portrayal. But that's just a personal thing. I thought it was a very, very well written first book by a very talented author.
Yes.
And I don't think I'm going to go back and read it again.
No, I can't.
I might pick one of his science fiction novels for a future episode.
Yeah. Well,
let's see to compare.
God, they're all massive though, aren't they?
Oh.
Not all of them.
Player of Games is quite short.
Fearsome Engine.
Fucking hell. That's... I'm not struggling through that fucking book again.
That sounds promising.
It's written entirely phonetically.
Yeah. It is, some kid who lives sort of wild, and I don't think it is entirely, is it? There's some different voices in it.
It's not, yeah.
But yeah, he writes. The title is Fearsome Engine, FeersumEndjinn. So it's written like that, like phonetically, how a sort of child who'd never learnt to write would write. It does take a while to get into.
How some languages work like that. For example, my native language is exactly...
Yeah.
That's how we work.
Pronounced how it's written, like Spanish.
Yes.
Yeah. Not every language is as shit as English.
Oh,
I mean, it's got to be a real shit of a language to learn for anyone who's not born to it, because nothing is pronounced the way it's written.
No.
Now, the reason it spreads so much is because it's an easy language.
That's the reason, yes. That's how it happened.
That's colonialism.
That's nothing to do with the British Army.
People went through the list like, let me
Company.
see, let me choose. Oh, this one. Okay, good.
Well, depends where you are from. I misspoke there. Just delete it.
No.
Okay, so next up is Lajea's choice. What are we reading?
Oh, okay. Yes. So, I was not ready for this. I
Sorry.
forgot the author's name. But we are reading something lighter. It's a short book. It's called Bloom. Her first name is Delilah. I forgot. Dawson, I think. Delilah Dawson. And I think we need a little palette cleanser. So it's light. It's simple. Let's talk about something pretty. It's a horror book, by the way, but it's not that bad. Dawson, right? Okay, yay! So it's full of flowers and beautiful things, and it's sapphic. Yay! Let's do it.
What? No wasps?
You will see.
Damn!
Well, you can reread the Wasp Factory instead.
Yeah, I want some burning rabbits now.
Read the book.
Al fresco barbecue.
Okay, so that's it for another edition of The Devil's Library. I've been Raj. Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.